Corinne Jean-Pierre said, dangerous to say transgender kids can hurt girls in sports. You know when logic, and this is the press secretary, because if she says it, you know it's right.
100%.
So here's a couple things that's going on in different states. Another state just banned transgender athletes from women's college sports. This is a town hall story. It's on page 15 if you want to go to it. Mm-hmm. So Texas Governor Abbott signed the Save Women's Sports Act, which prohibits transgender women from participating in women's college sports. Governor Abbott stated, women's sports are being threatened. Some women are being forced to compete against biological men. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey also signed legislation banning male-bodied athletes from competing in women's sports. Emphasize fairness. If you're a biological male, you are not going to be competing in women's and girls' sports in Alabama. Republican State Representative Susan DuBose, the sponsor of the bill, highlighted the inherent advantage of being born male. No amount of hormone therapy can undo all those advantages. Instances like transgender swimmer Leah Thomas winning against female athletes have sparked concerns about fairness and equal opportunities. Tom, you got two girls. When you read this story and you're seeing what Governor Abbott did, we lived in Texas for 5-6 years. What are your thoughts when you see this story here?
Well, first of all, Konstantin, thank you for your comments, because I agree with you. I believe trans is about to break a lot of the will of a lot of the resistance here is not going away. And what I've been watching with my girls is a simple truth. When you just said abracadabra Stacy, there is no time, there is no test, and there is no validation required. All I have to do on a Monday and said, I'm no longer Thomas, I'm Thomasina. I will now be playing with the girls' golf. And I declare it. So in sports, when you allow that emotional declaration of who I feel I am, going back to what you're talking about, liberalism is based on feelings. I feel I'm a female. Now I'm allowed to go compete. And we've seen the outcome of that. A 6'3" man, still with male genitalia, as was seen by all the women that were in the locker room at the Ivy League championships. They said, wait a minute, they said he was a girl. That's male genitalia hanging off this guy. And number one. And number two, he's 6'3" and he had size 13 feet. Those are much bigger flippers than the average woman is going to have.
Picture shocking, Tom.
Look at
exactly.
If that picture says 1,000 words, I mean, that is insane.
You like your cowboy hat? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're focusing on?
Well, I'm more focusing on the bottom left package.
By the way, take a look at the cowboy hat and her expression. Be glad she's not armed, ladies and gentlemen, because that's an angry cowgirl there.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you have to take out of this, there's no time, there's no validation, there's no test. It's an emotional thing. And so you need to protect them. This is swimming showed the performance. Now the risk showed up in October of 2022 in Cherokee County in North Carolina, where the volleyball spike knocked the girl unconscious, and she was having concussion symptoms for 3 weeks. CAT scans proved it. And then what used to be a fairly liberal school board, they voted 5-1 and said, yeah, after we saw that volleyball spike, maybe you can't declare on Monday you're a female.
Common sense prevails.
Common sense prevailed because they saw what happened there.
Right.
Well, and
can you play this clip? Go ahead and play the clip. See what happens.
You got a concussion here, Tom?
Watch the lower right. They should highlight
Go ahead,
the
Rob.
girl.
Watch this.
Here she comes.
That's a guy?
That's a male jumping. Boom! Oh, she's out.
She's done. That's it.
And so the school board saw this and goes, how long is the girl over there? 9 weeks, apparently. She had declared she was female. 9 weeks. And she's playing. And that's what Leah Thomas said. I want to win a championship, so I declare it. I support and applaud a guy that I grew up as a wannabe middle distance runner, ran cross country. And there was guys like John Walker of New Zealand and Steve Ovett and Sebastian Coe of the UK were some of my heroes. Sebastian Coe today is president of World Athletics and said in March of this year, we need to protect women who are women in sports, and we need to have a time test, a validation test, testosterone test, genitalia. If you're going to go do this, he said, really, we need a division for trans. He said, that's what we need. We need to protect the women here. And he was very rational about it. Common sense was prevailing. And I think what you're seeing is governors are getting hit by the mainstream media because they're coming out in favor of common sense. It says, look, you can't declare on Monday that you're a girl and then go win a championship on Wednesday and get your medal, right? That's wrong. And we need to protect the safety of women, and common sense is prevailing. And I think it's great because my daughters look at it and say, so what if once upon a time John Daly was a high school golfer and decided he wanted to be a girl? He would have won all the state championships. I said, Bailey, that's right. And she said, how is that fair?
Right. And let's just be honest with each other. At the end of the day, because nobody has the balls. Sorry for my French to say it. It's the tease. It's
no. Some of these guys that are competing in women said they have balls.
Let's be honest.
They do have the balls to do it. That's the
Biologically,
problem.
they have balls. If you're wondering.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's hilarious. At the end of the day, let's just come out and be honest. It's the trans movement hijacked the LGB, the lesbian, gay, and bi movement, and they completely wiped out the feminist movement. Because think about it.
Great point.
It's 100%. Because I know, Pat, I know gay people that work here. I know I have gay friends. They are not happy with this entire movement. They hijacked them.
Well, I'll see you and I'll raise you. I've probably interviewed more trans people than most people. A lot of trans people are also being thrown under this bus because this is being done not on their behalf. This is being done by like activists. A lot of trans people are actually quite sensible. They're like, look, I'm not comfortable in my body. I want to live in a different way. I don't need you to pretend that I am literally the opposite sex. Just don't beat me up and leave me alone.
Exactly.
Right? And I kind of feel sorry for them. But I'll tell you a story that will blow your mind, which is kind of relevant to this. So my grandmother was born in a gulag.
Wow.
She was born in a concentration camp for political prisoners. And one of the things people don't know is once you're released from these camps, you would not be allowed to live within like 100 miles of any big city. So you'd have to live in some kind of remote town. And they all ended up settling in these remote towns in the middle of Siberia. And the only people that lived there were the former prisoners of the camps, a few of the local native tribes, of which there were many, and the guards from the very same camps that the prisoners came from. And they would live in the same building. My grandmother's family, they lived in a landing across from another apartment. And in the other apartment, there was a guy who was a guard, okay? And what she told me is when Stalin died, right, and he was exposed as having committed all these terrible atrocities and so on, there was a spate of suicides in this town because these guards, they all killed themselves because they genuinely believed they were doing the right thing when they were beating these people and torturing these people. And that's when, hearing those stories from my family, that's when I really learned from early days to get people to do something terrible but think they're good, you need ideology. And this is ideology. This isn't real. This isn't common sense. This isn't people thinking about it critically. This is ideology. And that's how you get to the point where you've got massive guys playing against little girls. That's how you get there because it's ideology. People aren't actually examining the facts and trying to get to the right place.
They're going to lose. That argument's going to lose. Remember how confident these people when they were saying defund the police, defund the police, defund the police. Do you remember those guys?
Oh, yeah.
And now they're like, we never said that.
Yeah.
We never said that.
And then their
Look
house
how
got robbed.
quickly these same feminists are going to say, we never said that.
Yeah.
We never said that. Because the true feminist, the biggest feminist this last week, protecting women, was Greg Abbott. And Greg Abbott is not a feminist.
No, he's
If
not.
the definition is to defend women, Greg Abbott sat there and said, wait a minute, we're not going to let men beat up on women. This is just not fair. 20 years ago, that would have been, of course, we're not going to let that happen. Today, that argument is losing ground because of this whole nonsense that they're spewing out.
No, you nailed it, Pat. They hijacked the gay movement, but then they completely wiped out the feminists. Where are all those feminists?
Well, I'll tell you, there are some. So in the UK, actually, the movement against this has been absolutely speared by feminists,
Oh, great.
spearheaded
Good.
by feminists. And you have people here like Meghan Murphy and a bunch of others. But back to your point about, defund the police. This is how strong ideology is. I'll give you an example that will make you guys laugh. We don't have guns in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Now,
You guys have knives.
A lot of knives.
Yeah.
A lot.
But we don't have guns. And this is my point, right? In the summer of 2020, BLM happens. We've got, in central London, protesters in front of police officers going, hands up, don't shoot. In front of cops who don't have guns.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.